Hi guys, I just finished giving a rundown to my group on this range I was trading last night, and I wanted to give a quick rundown for Twitter. I was going to do this chart storm, but it was just way too much to go into, and probably like threw up loads more questions than doing a video would. So I'm just going to kind of like give you a light touch of my thought process around the range and around the position that I took last night and how I played it out. I'm not going to go into huge amounts of detail. I do kind of save that for the group, but I will try and be as sort of as comprehensive as possible without revealing all the details. So last night we had a strong move into the monthly open region. Okay, it was about an hour before the daily close, and as we moved up to that region, I started to see a divergence in price with the oscillator that I use down here. So that's first of all, that's my signal for a short position. And there's another really important point here, which is that I always want to be taking divergences that are confluent with the overall trend. Okay, so like I take the overall trend as the 4 hour for me personally. That's what I'm comfortable with. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking to take a bearish divergence which matches with the downtrend we're in the 4 hour. The reason for that is divergences that follow the trend are often far more powerful, and I have the increased chance for continuation past a scalp. So that's kind of the thought process behind that. Also to clarify, I'm using Sierra charts for this. TradingView are scammers, and nobody should be using Renko with TradingView. So I'm using Sierra charts. This is tick Renko on $2 brick size. And this is a very fast acting chart. Okay, this is like live action printing, so this is happening very quickly. Okay, so let's just go through and take a look at this. So this was my original entry at 8287 last night. There were a couple of things that I was looking for. I was looking for a reaction against the moving average, so I wanted price to lose that. That was the first thing I wanted to happen, is I needed the price to lose the moving average. I suppose actually it was the second thing I wanted to happen. The first thing I wanted to happen was price not to reclaim my original entry zone. So price could come back up and take this, but it couldn't really cross over my entry. I wasn't too comfortable if that would happen. There is a situation where I would continue to play this out, but we were fortunate enough that that didn't happen. So I wanted to see the moving average lost on this micro time frame. And this is a typo for change in stop. So I didn't actually set a stop for this. And the reason being is that plays into what I just mentioned about wanting to keep this open as a situation where I may not close. So that was just keeping this option open. I'm monitoring live, so the chances of getting burned here are relatively slim. I can probably count on one hand the number of times that price has like completely obliterated me at a point like this. So I was comfortable with this setup. The other thing that is visible on here is this here. Okay, this is quite interesting as well. Okay, so we've actually got a small head and shoulders pattern here on Renko, and then we've got a breakdown and retest in this region. So actually I had a super clean signal for this being a top with my divergence with the head and shoulders pattern. And so this was a really nice entry for me. Okay, so a couple of points. What am I looking for first of all? Okay, well we've lost the moving average, so I'm looking for where are my take profit points. There were two take profit points that I was interested in. Number one was the daily open. The daily open should provide some form of bounce if this is a bullish structure. Okay, so this is my first reaction point here. It's monitoring what happens when we hit this level. This is like 8230. And then the second region is this little support resistance area here at 8200. So we've got the resistance, resistance, support. So I was looking for these two regions of what happened. The thing that I got here is I got bearish momentum kick in and come through. And so I'm comfortable that this position is now active and going to give me these positions. Okay, obviously I'm aiming for here. That's ideal target for me. And that's taking this sort of 87, probably $100 move down by the time we spike through. The other thing that I did is I swapped to the alligator. And if you don't know much about the alligator, I'd recommend checking it out, especially if you're a scalper on lower time frame. Okay, it's incredibly helpful a helpful indicator. It's a set of 3 simple moving averages, and it basically shows a trend, as a moving average does, right? So you can see on the left hand side the way that this sharp move into the daily close, okay, that sort of hour before, kind of tries to hold this uptrend, does a pretty good job, especially in this region here. And so this sell-off, I was swapping over to the alligator to monitor this trend on the way down. And we started to approach this first take profit hotspot. So now we hit that, and I was looking for the reaction off this level. Was there a reaction from the daily open? And right now I wasn't seeing it. Okay, I would expect this to be more immediate, and especially start to challenge up towards the top of this moving average. Okay, we then even had the wick on this Renko brick here, right into the daily open. So I was really comfortable that there's no reaction from this level, and that I could now look to this bottom box for the reaction that I was going to see. So right now, I've not taken any profit on this trade. I'm still watching it. I'm making all these notes live. And then I start to identify areas that I wouldn't want to see compromised if we begin to recover. So if we get a reaction from this 8200 level, I don't want to see this region compromised. So I start assessing where I don't want to see price retrace to in order to still be comfortable in this short position. And obviously what we get here is we just get like a full-on breakdown. So this support and resistance area, which is over here, okay, here, we just get like a full breakdown. So we just crush straight through it. And then this level here is another level that I had marked out that I was interested in. I was interested in this level again because resistance, okay, resistance and failure to meet, breakthrough, support, support. So this area here, I think it's around 8170, kind of gave me a really nice level again to monitor some reaction around. The alligator's done its job perfectly. It showed me that the downtrend's still well in effect and I can still hold this position. This original level at 8200 did absolutely nothing apart from get retested from the downside here. So again, this entry is really comfortable for me, but it's only really comfortable because I'm live and assessing all of this action as it's unfolding. So I'm not just like sitting back, waiting for price to hit a target. I'm actively monitoring this all of the time. The thing that I begin to notice is that we actually have some bullish divergences building around this region down here. So I'm aware that this is now a challenge to this short position that I have. We continue. Alligator does its job perfectly. And there's a couple of points at this point. We get a really strong bullish divergence on the awesome oscillator, which highlights the fact that I want to be taking divergences that are in line with the trend. Because actually I'm countering 2 trends here. If I took this as a divergence or as a signal to close short, I'm countering the higher time frame trend, and I'm also countering this micro time frame trend. So I'm actually countering both, and that's even more difficult. And you can see here that it just doesn't play out. We actually just come down, we get more momentum on the bearish side, and we just have another leg down. The other thing is that my entry is now too good to just close on an alligator break. So I assess the fact that I'm now $167 away from entry. So this entry is now too good in order to close just based on this signal solely by itself, whereas previously this may be enough to cause me to close position. But I really like the fact that this divergence is demonstrated as like this is a worry point for me, especially as it builds. And then just the fact that it just gets obliterated by another leg is like another really positive confirmation for this entry. Okay, so new target. We've blown through the existing 2 levels. I've not taken any profit as of yet. I don't need to. The alligator's starting to recover, but actually the alligator is just indicating here that this is choppiness. So this low is the daily low, and these are the lows that I'm now looking to take. So this is where I want to see price get down below, and then we'll see the reaction off that level. Couple more points here. I get a W bottom, which is quite a common reversal signal in Renko. So I get a W bottom. It doesn't actually play out, which again is perfect, but I do identify this high here. So this high here is where I take 50% profit if we break this high. So it's around 8140. So this W bottom here, this lack of momentum here, and this lack of momentum here. I know how close we are to the lows, so that's still my target, but I need to be aware of the factors that may influence this coming under pressure. So this W bottom means that this area is now where my 50% take profit is if we break it. We actually just fall away. Okay, so here's the W bottom, and then we fall away again, and we take out the lows. So after we take out these lows, again, I'm taking 50% profit. Now this is because this here is pretty much a scalper's dream move. Okay, we test up here, we diverge into a monthly open, we come down and we take out the daily lows. That's pretty much like the dream move I could hope for. So I take 50% profit here, and I'm happy with that move. Right, this is what a $200 move now to take profit on. So that's a nice entry for me. Sorry, a nice close for me here. Now what I do is I look for what happens with the remaining 50%. How greedy can I be to hold the 50%? And where do I want to close? Where do I think this trade is now 100% done? And this high here is the level that I chose. So it's around 8135. Again, it's this high. Okay, this is like the high we looked at last time at 8140 for the reaction when we sold off. So now I'm looking at this high. I'm saying if we compromise this high, I'm out of position. We didn't compromise the high. Okay, as you'll see in the next shot, the alligator is now trending upwards as well. So what we actually see here is this is the level, and we actually now start to diverge again bearishly. So I had a complete change of plan at this point. I was no longer looking to close, I was actually looking to open fresh. So the reason I wanted to open fresh is I didn't want to compromise 8287 as my original entry. And so I chose to open this on a March contract instead. So I opened this on March at 50% size, and my aim here was to take the lows. So now that we had this set of lows and we had this very clear support here, I really wanted another push down into this. We had the divergence and we had my level. The issue was this divergence kept on building. And we still hadn't compromised the level and this sort of exit plan consideration level that I was looking at. We hadn't compromised that. And so I actually just doubled down to 100%. I just entered 100% position on March now. I had a better entry up here. I had a super tight stop because I had my invalidation point literally $15 above where my entry was. And this diversion was continuing to build. So this is the point that I went in. What I was looking for now is a flip of this. Okay, take me to the bearish side, play out this divergence, and let me close this new scalp position. At this point, you can tell I was getting pretty pissed off. It was about 5 AM, and we were just continuing to diverge without any downwards pressure. And then finally, I think it's weirdly back at the start, is where I get this. Okay, so I actually get this play out finally, where we take it down to the bearish side here. So I hope that gives you like a very light touch on my thought process when I'm using Renko and when I'm scalping these micro timeframes. The biggest thing that I can give you to take away from this is that if you're scalping is one of the most active forms of trading you can do. You cannot just sit back. You cannot set a target. Well, you can, but it's not the way I prefer to scalp. You can set a target and wait for it to develop, okay? But most scalpers will actively monitor that price on their chosen time frame because there's so much information that price will give you in what's happening during that journey towards your target. And you need to be able to react to that and to change very quickly what your approach is. And like this has shown, like it also gives fresh opportunities. So this gave me a fresh opportunity to short again. So by always monitoring your scalping positions and what's going on with price will usually always yield better results for you. All right, I spent 15 minutes doing an overview that I thought was going to take me like 30 seconds, so I'll cut it there. If there's any questions, then please just shoot me a message. Thanks, guys.